Right, welcome back. Today we're talking about factoring. What we're doing is going into the J-frame and trying to find code that's similar, where we can be a little bit more efficient on the way we write our code. Now, if we look at the code here for the ones score, and also, or I guess they call it the aces score, and also button twos, we see that the structure of the code is very similar. Everything's in the same sequence. The only thing that really changes is the number that you add, and the number in this case is 1. And so what I'd like to do is factor out this code so that it would work not just for aces, but for all of the upper scoring categories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new method, and I'm going to just grab all this inside stuff and copy it. And what we're going to call this thing is score upper category. And what we need to pass in, is that global? I guess it is. So all we have to do is pass in the category. So we'll say int category, and this is going to be between 1 and 6. So here's our method, and I'm going to paste in all that code I copied. And so anytime we see the number 1, what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with the word category. So here's the number 1, and we're going to use that variable instead. So it's category. Manage UI state doesn't change. Here we're adding up the dice. Here we see the number 1. We want to add all the ones. Now this time we want to make this more generic, and we're going to add up all the categories. So if this die value matches the category, then we're going to add, well, the category number to the score. So what we're doing is generalizing this method, making it more useful so that we can call it for all the upper scoring categories. Here we set the upper scoring categories. We figured out the score we want to show it on the UI, or put it in the game. Again, we can use the word category. Here is an array index. Okay, this works. We'll use category again. Show totals, that doesn't change. Manage the UI state, that all stays the same. And we're done. Now what that allows us to do, now that we have this more generic function or method, is we can go up here to the aces one, and we can pretty much delete everything inside it. And instead, what we're going to do is we're going to call score upper category. So we'll just do this. Makes it a lot simpler. Score upper category, and you pass in 1. Now for the twos, we can also just get rid of all the interior code. All of that goes away. And we can now say score upper category. And this time we can pass in 2. Now we've only had to write this code one time, and we can use it for all the categories. So I'm just going to quickly go down and add the other buttons as well. Sometimes it's better to go into the UI and just double click on it. It creates the event handler for you somewhere. I wonder where. Let's go take a look. 3s. There it is. Score upper. What's the name of the method? Score upper category. Simple. And we pass in 3. Do the same thing with the other buttons. I'm going to click on the force button. Where does that put me? There's 4. This time passing in a 4. And again, going back to our design window, just so that all the plumbing gets done for us. And we're way down here. There's the 5s button. And pass in 5. And then finally, 6. Alright, so we've got them all in there now. Let's try it. So again, we saved ourselves a lot of coding just by factoring out this code that's very similar and replacing the literal numbers, like the number 1 or number 2, with the category that gets passed into the method. My hope is that when we run it, now all the upper scoring categories will work correctly. I didn't really need to write that much code. So here we are, I got 4s. Okay, so I'll score my 4s. And look, it worked magically. I didn't have to do anything special, really. Here's, we can do our 2s. Okay, so I got 3 2s, put that in. You want to make sure that your totals are working. Here I finally fixed my grand total. And then everything else is working well. Roll it again. And yeah, I'll do 6s this time. Got 3 6s. Roll it again. Just playing the game. Checking to see if it works. There's our 3s. It looks like it's doing it right. And remember, on these upper scoring categories, you only add the number that's assigned to the button. So say for 5s, I have 1 5. And so I have 2 here. I have 5s, it should only sum up the 5s, and that's what it does. So we gained a lot of functionality over here just by factoring out that one method. Finally, let's get our aces. Okay, we have 3 of a kind that's working now, so here's 3 of a kind to start with. Here's 4 of a kind. So we can use 4 of a kind. We know that works. Our score's looking pretty good. So far, anyway. Here we're trying to get 3 of a kind. Looks like we already have it. And that should add them all up. It does. So far, so good. Here's a full house. We click on that. We haven't done the work on full house. So the ones we still have left to do is full house, small straight, large straight. Yahtzee is going to be easy. So we'll do that in an upcoming video. And then chance is pretty straightforward as well. So let's try that. If I click on full house, notice it doesn't score, and I can click on all the undefined scoring categories. So I'll do that in the next video.